The story begins with Duke Ein von Eld kneeling before the Emperor. The Emperor acknowledges his struggle in managing meddlesome relatives as the head of the powerful Sea Guardian family. Duke Eld commands the southern border near the mysterious Mist Sea, teeming with terrifying creatures unseen in the inland regions. While the imperial family secures the north, the Eld Duchy battles these horrors in the south. But with each victory, their power and influence grow. The Emperor grows wary, and tensions subtly brew between the royal family and the Eld family. The Emperor is concerned about the Eld family's increasing power. He decides to weaken them, forcing Duke Ein von Eld into a marriage with a weak, powerless family. Ein sees through the scheme, but plays along, declaring he will marry whoever delivers him a letter. He casually flips through the letters, a possible candidate in mind, Baron Lavoie's eldest daughter, whom he assumes is nearing 20. Marriage isn't something he looks forward to, and he only hopes the girl won't be scared off by the cold, gloomy mist surrounding his territory. However, when the carriage arrives, he's shocked to see a small girl emerge, clutching flowers, looking more like a toddler than a bride. Glaring at him, she blurts out, "Is this the guy? The trash duke who wants to marry a 5-year-old?" Ein is speechless. In her past life, she was but a powerless commoner, without even the opportunity to enter a magic academy. Yet, through sheer will, she taught herself magic, rising through the ranks to eventually become an archmage. Together with her companions of the Magic Tower, she defeated the terrifying evil dragon that shook the world. Just as victory was within reach, the cruelest blow came: betrayal. Leighton, her most trusted ally, betrayed her, and everything shattered as she fell into darkness. Filled with regret, she thought her story ended there, but fate had other plans. Reborn as little Natia, she faced a different kind of threat in her new life: a deadly disease. A worried Baron hopefully inquired if the Imperial Palace doctor could save her. The answer was grim. Perhaps with the rare Xylia herb, she might live a little longer, but time was running out. Meanwhile, the desperate Baron pleaded with the doctor, asking how he could obtain this rare herb. Pointing at a map, the doctor explained that the Xylia herb only grew in the remote coastal borderlands and came with an exorbitant price tag. Reborn as a little girl, Natia thought with a hint of self-mockery, being reborn as Baron Lavoie's daughter isn't so bad, right? I bet they'll shower me with new clothes and luxuries. But her hopes were instantly dashed as the Baroness erupted in fury, shouting that they couldn't afford such expensive treatment. "She's the child you had with the maid. You deal with it yourself." Caught between guilt and helplessness, the Baron said in a low voice, "Calm down. We simply don't have that kind of money. We have to give up on saving her." Nazia de Lavoie, reborn as the daughter of a noble baron, should have lived a comfortable life. But fate dealt a cruel twist. While her body was frail as a child's, the potent magic from her past life as an archmage still surged within her, too heavy a burden for her young body. As her father gave up on saving her, the Baroness's indifference turned to cruelty. She was locked away under the pretense that her illness might be contagious, treated as a burden rather than a child. Day after day, the magic gnawed at her heart, her illness worsening. Yet she endured silently until one day, the Baroness barged into her room with the maids. "Cover the child's unsightly scars," she ordered with icy disdain. "Yes, madam," the maid replied, stepping forward. The maid suddenly grabbed Natia and began scrubbing her fragile body. Panic surged in her chest. "What are they doing?" She gasped. Suddenly, a violent cough and blood splattered across the room. "Madam, the child is coughing up blood," a maid reported in terror. The Baroness barely reacted, her face a mask of cold disgust. "Disgusting. She's probably doing it on purpose to spread her disease. Just don't let the blood stain her clothes." Trembling, Natia noticed with confusion a white cloth being brought in, a wedding dress. Why are you giving me this?" The Baroness delivered the final blow with an impassive face. "From today onwards, you are a bride. You are to marry Duke Eld." Now, Natia stood quietly in the large wedding dress, dwarfed by its grandeur, facing the towering Duke Ein Eld. As his gaze fell upon her, shock flashed across his face. He abruptly turned to his knight. "Impossible. This child is the bride of the Eld Duchy." Mississippi. The knight, visibly uneasy, hesitantly replied, "The Eld family has already accepted the marriage. I didn't expect them to actually send a child for marriage." The knight lowered his head. "But if we send the carriage back now, she will carry the shame of a broken engagement for the rest of her life." Ein's eyes narrowed, his voice cold and firm. "The Lavoie's family's audacity to insult the Eld family will not be forgotten." As Natia looked up at Duke Ein von Eld, her eyes widened in awe. "Wow, he's excessively handsome," she thought, momentarily forgetting the chaos around her. Ein approached with effortless grace. "If you'll excuse me for a moment," he said, then knelt on one knee before her, extending his hand. Natia blinked, placing her small, delicate hand in his with a touch of surprise. A strange sense of familiarity washed over her. This aura, like a creature of the sea, nostalgic. Despite the pain racking her frail body, she gripped his hand tightly. Compared to the ache in her heart, this was nothing. But why did his gaze feel so unfamiliar? Suddenly, she withdrew her hand subconsciously, her heart filled with confusion and unease. Ein rose to his feet, his voice firm and clear. "I hereby formally accept the young lady of Baron Lavoie's house into the Eld family." Natia's jaw nearly dropped. Wait, wasn't he going to reject me? What's happening? This guy is unbelievable. But Ein continued, however, only on the condition that the young lady becomes my adopted daughter. Natia's thoughts raced, trying to process Ein's sudden proposal. Adopted daughter. Becoming the Duke's daughter sounded like a godsend, but why would he do this for a stranger? What did he want? Doubts surfaced like a shadow. Leighton said he would slay the dragon for the greater good, but he betrayed me for glory. Could this be the same? Ein's gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. Mississippi. She hesitated, her eyes flickering with unease. "Even if I refuse, I can't return to the Baron's house. I have nowhere to go, at least not until my magic stabilizes. Perhaps staying here is my only option." She mustered her courage and whispered, "I accept. I'll accept anything, even if I'm not your daughter. Even as a servant." Before she could finish, her vision blurred, her knees buckled, and she collapsed into Ein's arms, her frail body finally giving way. A while later, Natia slowly opened her eyes, finding herself lying in a luxurious bed in a spacious and elegant room. She blinked, surprised. Wow, this place is huge. Where am I? Before she could gather her thoughts, a maid noticed her awakening and exclaimed, "Miss, you're awake. Quickly inform Alfiro." Natia thought, "I thought I was alone here." As she pondered, an elegant lady approached the bed. "Miss, do you know where you are?" The lady asked gently. "My name is Azurda. From now on, I will be at your service, Miss Natia." Natia sat quietly, suddenly realizing she could clearly hear Azurda's thoughts. "Your thoughts are so clear in my mind," she blurted out. Azurda smiled, breaking the tension. "By the way, Master has prepared a special gift for you, Mississippi." "A gift?" Natia blinked curiously. Azurda excitedly pulled a giant pink object from a box. "This is it, personally chosen by the Duke." Natia's eyes widened in disbelief. "Is this candy?" "Wait, it's as big as a shield." Confused, she stumbled and sat down on the floor, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. I overreacted." Azurda rushed over, anxiously asking, "Miss, are you all right? The doctor will be here soon." "Doctor?" Natia tensed. In her past life, doctors always nagged about her health. Am I going to be scolded for being afraid of candy now? No, that's not it. It's the magic. My weak body can't handle it. If I can calm down, maybe I'll be fine. Natia took a deep breath, composed herself, and stood up with a calm smile. "I'm really fine now. I'm fine." Azurda looked at her with concern. Before she could speak, a gentle knock came from the door. "Come in," Natia responded politely. A well-dressed man entered with a gentle smile. "It's a pleasure to meet you, miss. My name is Delfino. I'm a doctor. Let's begin the examination." He suddenly froze mid-sentence, his gaze falling on the giant pink candy in Natia's hand. "What is that? A shield?" "No, just a giant, adorable piece of candy." Delfino marveled inwardly. Regaining his composure, he nodded. "Let's begin. Azurda, I'll need your assistance with the stethoscope." "Understood," Azurda replied, gently placing the stethoscope on Natia's chest. "All right, Mississippi. After all, a noble lady cannot be examined directly by a male doctor." During the examination, Delfino explained gently, "The Lavoie's family didn't mention any serious health issues, but it seems you have a naturally weak constitution." Natia nodded softly. "Yes." Delfino asked, surprised, "You knew already. Did they give you proper treatment?" His gaze softened. "Don't worry, I'll help you regain your health. One day, you'll be able to live freely without pain. But Natia smiled faintly and shook her head. They didn't even notice the magic issue. How could they possibly cure me? Actually, you don't have to push yourself too hard. Just being able to enjoy life a little is enough for me. Delfino looked at Natia with concern, his voice firm. Miss, please don't give up. Delfino, will personally see to your recovery. If you feel even the slightest discomfort, you must tell me immediately. We'll conduct a more thorough examination in a few days, so please rest well until then. Natia blinked in disbelief. Wait, what? Do I really look like the type of person who would give up on life just because I'm told I'm frail? I just need to become strong enough to control my magic. That's all. Delfino continued. Wherever you go, you must take Azurda with you, understand? I'll take my leave now. As he left, Azurda's expression brightened. Now that the examination is over, would you like some candy? She asked. Natia glanced at the enormous jar. Can I really have some of that? Azurda grinned and picked up a hammer. Of course. Wait a moment. Natia's eyes widened in alarm. Wait, did she just pull out a hammer? Azurda skillfully chipped off a small piece of the giant candy and placed it on a plate. Please enjoy. Natia stared at the candy, both amazed and slightly intimidated. She looked softly at Azurda, understanding clearly. Azurda is no ordinary maid, but she's kind and treats me well. She called out Azurda. Yes, Azurda replied, thinking to herself, even though the Duke has formally adopted her, I must remain vigilant towards outsiders. However, it seems Delfino has been completely charmed by this little miss. But I mustn't let my guard down. Natia offered a piece of candy with a sweet smile. Here, let's eat together, Azurda. Azurda was almost melted by her cuteness. She's just too adorable. Thank you very much. Please enjoy. Natia, you too. Azurda replied cheerfully. But the moment Natia took a bite, her long, empty stomach rebelled, unexpectedly vomiting without warning. The pleasant moment was over. Azurda gently cleaned Natia up, saying softly, it's better to have some porridge for now. I'll try to make it as tasty as possible. But inside, her anger burned. Just how long has this poor child been starved? The Lavoie's family, truly unforgivable. Meanwhile, Ayn was furious at the news he received. You say the Lavoie's family sent a letter. Yes, Your Grace. The knights we dispatched haven't returned yet. This was their only option, the man explained. Einzeit cruelty. A few days ago, several mangled bodies were found in the forest. Were those their so-called knights? They can't even handle weak monsters, and yet they call themselves a knight order. He opened the letter and frowned. As long as the bride arrives safely, they want to arrange the wedding vows. They sent a 5-year-old child as a bride and expect me to accept without hesitation. He burned the letter to ashes. Shall I write a reply for you? The man asked. No, I replied firmly. I'll write it myself. This concerns our family's honor, and it concerns our child. I personally wrote a reply to the Lavoie's family. His thoughts were a whirlwind. Once Natia bears the Eld name, there's no turning back. She will forever be one of us. There's no need for a formal adoption. Just let Eld bear the responsibility for the past deception. If a territorial dispute erupts, we'll face it head-on and restore our family's honor. But he still wondered, why am I so insistent on formal adoption? Lost in thought, Ayn suddenly stopped, startled by a fleeting vision. He briefly saw Natia as a young boy. Is that it? Is that what I see in her? He shook off the thought and summoned the doctor. Delfino arrived quickly. You called for me, Your Grace. Yes, Ayn regained his composure. Aren't you preparing for the child's full examination? Why is it taking so long? Delfino brought worrying news. Natia's heart is too weak, too constricted. Even the examination is difficult, as if something invisible is pressing down on her. Also, she shared candy with the servants today. To be honest, I thought that pink sugar ball was just a cute shield. Ayn asked, somewhat surprised, is there something wrong with that? Delfino explained gently, it's not the candy itself, it's what happened afterward. When the servants gathered, Natia became panicked and afraid, especially when she saw the figures of adults. It seems her time at the Baron's mansion was even more dreadful than we imagined. Ayn's expression darkened as he understood. I'll let her know she doesn't have to be afraid anymore. Night fell, and Natia lay in bed, her thoughts restless. Despite the comfort surrounding her, the once cold environment had become warm and welcoming in just a few days. Why is everyone so kind to me? She wondered, is it just because of my magic? Even the doctor doesn't seem to understand magic. In her past life, Natia didn't mind people approaching her with ulterior motives. She was always willing to help. But this time, she was determined not to repeat her mistakes. I won't let this life end in betrayal and regret. Although the people here were much better than those at the Baron's mansion. She still couldn't completely let down her guard. I won't trust anyone until I figure out the Duke's true intentions. Just then, a maid quietly approached. Miss, are you awake? Half asleep, Natia mumbled, let me sleep a little longer. The maid smiled gently. Of course. Rest well. I'll just tidy up a bit. While the maid was busy tidying the room, Natia seized the opportunity to slip out unnoticed. Good, she didn't see me. I need to explore the manor before anyone finds me. She wandered into an area shrouded in a thick, shimmering mist. She murmured, sensing a strange energy around her. Driven by curiosity, she activated her own magic. Wait, is this magic mist? Although it's a bit intense, I can feel it replenishing me with every breath. Her eyes sparkled as she looked around in amazement. Rare, medicinal herbs grew freely like weeds. Even the sand was imbued with magic power, perfect for making magic stones. This place is like paradise. Why are these treasures just lying around? After making sure no one was around, a triumphant smile spread across her face. Now's my chance. Instead of using her own unstable magic, she absorbed the magic from the surrounding mist. She cast an invisibility spell and smiled as it took hold. All right, now I can explore the depths of the mist without being seen. As Natia ventured deeper into the misty forest, a giant clam, abnormally large and clearly brimming with magic, appeared before her. Is that a clam? How'd it get so big? She marveled, staring at the dried clam meat. This thing could even be used as a table, she thought wryly. Excited, she piled all the medicinal herbs she had collected into the clam's empty shell. I love this place. I finally feel alive again. Even my heart feels lighter. This clam, from now on, is my secret hideout. But just as she was reveling in her new discovery, click, the clam suddenly snapped its shell shut, trapping her inside. Panic flared. Wait, am I trapped inside? She gasped. Oh my God, my heart almost stopped. Struggling to calm her breathing, she muttered, calm down, calm down. Just then, a bright pearl began to glow inside the shell. Her eyes widened. This doesn't seem like artificial magic. It could be naturally formed. It's so beautiful. I mustn't be intimidated. Natia then began to set up a magic circle using the dense magic mist around her. Good, she thought. The detection spell is set. Now, if anyone comes near, I'll know immediately. In a cheerful mood, she reached out to touch the mysterious pearl, but it suddenly moved away. Whoa, why won't you let me touch you? Don't run away, you little. Before she could grab it, the pearl vanished into thin air. It disappeared. She whispered, bewildered. Just then, muffled voices came from outside. We have to break the shell open. A loud crack echoed, and the clam slowly opened. There she is. It's the young lady. A servant shouted. Azurta rushed in, a mixture of relief and alarm on her face. Miss, you were hiding here. Without hesitation, she scooped Natia into her arms and firmly commanded, everyone, quickly escort the young lady. People swarmed around, and Natia found herself more shocked by being surrounded than she had been trapped in the clam. Why is everyone crowding around me? This is more surprising than being trapped, she thought, her heart racing. Azurta calmly remarked, this shellfish is abnormally large. It must have absorbed the strange mist to grow this big. It's best not to approach it. Natia's curiosity was piqued as Azurta leaned down, her expression softening. Do you know how worried I was about you? Miss, Natia's eyes widened. Worried about me? In my past life, I was always sacrificed. No one ever worried about me. But Azurta is kind to me. There's nothing to gain from it. So why she hesitated, then asked, why are you so good to me? Do you like me? Azurta smiled gently and pulled out a few candies from her pocket. You once gave me something so precious. It's only natural that I serve you wholeheartedly. This candy is truly magical. For the first time, Natia felt an unfamiliar emotion, genuine care. She couldn't stop thinking about the magical candy. The effect is amazing. Maybe I should be brave and share it with a few more people. What started as a small gesture eventually became the origin of the legendary 8 candy group. Azurta gently helped Natia clean up and urged her to wash up and rest. Natia nodded, but doubts still lingered in her mind. I clearly used an invisibility spell. Why were they able to find me so quickly and inside that clam? The mystery continued to plague her. The next morning, driven by curiosity, she asked, Azurta, who was that person? Azurta replied, that was Saroja. He was ordered to guard this place. Then she said to another maid, Mare, please go and call him. Natia panicked inwardly. Wait, that's not what I meant. As Saroja approached, a wave of nervousness washed over her. Saroja introduced himself in a firm and respectful tone. I am Osha Diaz, assigned by the Duke to be your guard. As Saroja approached, Natia noticed a brief flash of red in his eyes. Her heart tightened. This man possesses the eyes of mystery. She knew what that meant. The legendary eyes, capable of perceiving invisible magic with terrifying accuracy. No wonder they can see through illusions. Even magic itself can't be hidden. But if used too much, these eyes will temporarily blind the user. Just by making eye contact, they can even glimpse the other person's memories. She gazed at him, her thoughts racing. These are the clearest eyes of mystery I've ever seen. No wonder my invisibility spell was useless. He saw right through it, tracked me down immediately, and even reported it to the Duke. The reality weighed heavily on her. If you want to find me, no spell can hide me. My invisibility is completely useless now. Azurta noticed Natia lost in thought and asked softly, Miss, are you all right? Natia snapped back to reality and gave an awkward smile. Sorry for starting. Your eyes are just so bright. Saroja was startled by the sudden compliment. Azurta chuckled and added, his eyes are a family trait. Everyone in the Saroja family is born with them. Natia's heart skipped a beat. Wait, these incredible eyes of mystery aren't magically created. They're natural, so rare. She blurted out, they're truly beautiful, like shining gems. Realizing she might have been a bit too forward, she quickly composed herself and nodded politely. It's a pleasure to meet you. Without hesitation, Saroja knelt on one knee, gently took her hand, and declared firmly, I will serve you with my body and soul. Azurta said gently, it's wonderful that Miss doesn't seem to mind Master Saroja's eyes. Natia blinked. She glanced at Mare and noticed she seemed uneasy around Saroja. Now that I think about it, do the people in this town dislike the eyes of mystery? Suddenly, a memory of Saroja surfaced. A young Saroja desperately cried out, I wasn't mistaken. It wasn't the lady, it was a monster. But he received no support, only venomous whispers. Didn't his father kill the lady? Yeah, Mark Diaz spouted some nonsense about her being a monster, and then he actually killed her. Those cursed eyes, just like his father's. Disgusting. Just as the shadows of the past threatened to overwhelm him, a voice interrupted his thoughts. Brother, what are you thinking about? Saroja turned and immediately embraced the young boy, Fry. Did you come to greet me? How are you feeling? Fry smiled gently. I'm much better now. Since I can walk to the door, maybe I can go out for a walk today. Saroja reassured him with a gentle gaze. The fog is thick, but don't worry, I'll stay with you. Fry took careful steps, smiling. I'll take it easy, I won't push myself. Saroja replied softly, just take your time. But Fry quickly noticed his brother's unusually light mood. Brother, why are you smiling so much today? It's all over your face. Saroja was momentarily speechless. Someone said I was beautiful. Fry blinked. Wait, they said you were beautiful. They were talking about my eyes, Saroja explained. Who said that? Fry asked curiously. A rare smile touched Saroja's lips. The young lady who just arrived. She said my eyes were as beautiful and bright as gems. Fry looked away, a hint of longing in his voice. The young lady said that. I wish I could hear something like that too. Meanwhile, Natia thought to herself, he seems more open to me after meeting Saroja. I hope he can let those beautiful eyes shine a little brighter. The grass, the sand, everything here is like layers of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Her thoughts drifted back to the magical clam incident. Someone had used powerful magic to destroy it. I just hope no one finds out I set up that magic circle. I'll just play innocent and say it was already there. But I can't stay in one place forever. I have to explore more, learn about this world, its magic, its people, and its secrets. Natia's curiosity was reignited. Azurta asked gently, would you like to read a book? Natia's eyes lit up. Yes, one with lots of pictures and words, preferably with beautiful trees and skies. Seeing her enthusiasm, Azurta smiled and nodded. I'll get you one. Please wait here. Natia thought, great, maybe she'll bring a book about the continent's climate and plants, or something similar. Soon, Azurta returned and gently handed her a book titled The Fairy and the Black Boar. A Journey Across the Continent. Natia opened the book and sighed inwardly. A fairy tale, as expected. It makes sense, given I look like a child now. Thankfully, I learned to read before I was abandoned. Natia flipped through the brightly colored pages, her expression suddenly freezing as she stared at one page in shock. What is this? Her gaze landed on a line of text. The first emperor, Million, the first to forbid magic. He banned magic across the continent, claiming he could no longer tolerate the oppression of so-called magicians. The empire now hunts down anyone who uses magic, even those who practice in secret. Magic is not only forbidden, but also declared dangerous, and magicians are eradicated without mercy. Even worse, the weakly smiling fairy mascot in the book added, "Don't worry, children, they'll all be executed." Natia's heart pounded, panic seizing her. Executed just for being magicians. Her thoughts raced. This wasn't just about not using magic. It was about being hunted. If they sensed my magic, I'd be dead already. In the magic circle I drew in the shell, what do I do now? Her hands trembled, and she dropped the book. Azurta turned, concern in her eyes. "Miss, do you not like the book?" Natia forced a smile, her voice barely steady. "Oh no, it's very interesting. I'm just really tired and want to rest." "Of course, Mississippi sleep well," Azurta replied gently. Natia huddled under the covers, shivering, not from cold but from fear. "Good. Once they leave the room, I can use invisibility magic to slip out." But her plan hit a snag. "Wait, Saroja is still here." "Ugh, go eat something already." She sighed inwardly. There was no choice but to wait until the room was completely empty. Under the cover of invisibility and flight magic, Natia slipped out the window, a faint panic pushing her towards the giant shell. Flying and staying invisible is draining, but I have to hold on a little longer, she thought, determination propelling her forward. I have to erase the magic circle before anyone finds it or figure out if anyone already has. But as she peeked into the shell, her breath caught. Standing there was Duke von Eld. What? She froze in shock. What was he doing here? Ein gazed quietly at the traces of magic. Lost in thought, Natia was found near the misty sea. Why did she come back? What drew her here again? I didn't ask before, afraid she'd misunderstand me as interrogating her. So I came myself back to this sea that haunted my childhood. His gaze darkened, memories surfacing. That day, my brother, who always hated me, smiled rarely and said, "The sword you want is hidden in that shell." The knights and servants laughed, but I never understood what he meant. Young, Ein stepped into the giant shell, and it slammed shut, trapping him inside. He stood silently, memories flooding back. So this is why my brother sent me here. Why did the knights and servants laugh? They didn't care if I lived or died. I was just a joke to them. Thankfully, the fog wasn't thick then, or that child, Natia, would have been in danger too. Meanwhile, still invisible, Natia followed him into the shell. Her heart skipped a beat. "Wait, do we just make eye contact?" "Impossible." She cautiously approached, thinking in shock, can he really see me? I'm still using invisibility magic. In my past life, only the most elite swordsmen could barely sense the faint air currents left by someone invisible. But this man, he really sees me. Ein turned calmly, his gaze locking on to where she stood. "Natia." A cold sweat trickled down her back. "He even knows it's me. What kind of power is this? Is this your place?" he asked, his tone unreadable. "No, it's not," she stammered, hastily dropping her invisibility. "Then why did you bring the sand here?" Because it's white, it's pretty. The dry grass too. They're really beautiful." Ein studied her quietly, then simply said, "I understand." In that surreal moment, Natia realized that this man was more than just a nobleman or a swordsman. Natia stood quietly beside the Duke, glancing at him curiously. Even though I just said the dry grass and white sand were pretty, he didn't laugh at me. He didn't seem to judge me at all, which was a relief. But when she looked outside, a chill ran down her spine. Wait, the fog is much thicker than before. I can't see anything outside anymore. Ein's voice broke the silence, calm but tinged with a somber note. Soon, this fog will engulf the entire mansion, and the monsters from the sea will swarm. Natia froze. Sea monsters are different from land monsters, he continued. They're intelligent and cunning. They'll take the form of those you trust most, getting close before you even sense the danger. He turned slightly. So I won't be able to come here often anymore. at least not for a while. But then, he added with unexpected gentleness, if this place brings you peace, if you wish for it to be yours, then I won't disturb you anymore. I'll stay away. A silent weight settled on Natia's heart. This place held secrets and danger, but also a strange gentleness. Natia stared at the foggy horizon, her heart filled with confusion and a heavy feeling. He's willing to give this place to me, and promised not to come here casually. But everything here was originally his, and I'm just a powerless child. Why is he being so kind to me? Unable to help herself, she asked softly, Your Grace, why are you willing to accept me as family? I paused, his expression darkening with memory. I had a brother once, he began. He saw me as a threat to his inheritance of the dukedom. So he lied, manipulated, until one day he tricked me into this shell. He left me to die. His voice was calm, but laced with pain. In that moment, facing death, I realized no one in my family was truly on my side. So I had to become strong, alone. In the end, my father chose me as his successor. I banished my brother and all his followers. He lowered his head, his gaze softening. But even then, there was an emptiness inside me. Until I met you, a girl who strangely reminds me of myself. I want to give you what I never had as a child. I thought perhaps this could be a new beginning for both of us. His voice dropped. You escaped your Baron's control. If you ever wish for revenge, I will help you. Natia silently processed Ein's words. Truly, this agreement benefited them both, though clearly more him. But really, could a 5-year-old grasp something so profound? I sensed her thoughts and said gently, You can ask me again later. I will always answer you. Just don't stay out too long. With that, he turned and left. Natia remained, lost in thought. For someone so powerful, he was clearly oblivious to magic. This explained why he hadn't noticed anything amiss. This world truly forbade magic. Yet for the first time since arriving, she felt an inexplicable sense of peace. Later, Saroja gently scooped her up and carried her back to the mansion. Natia blinked, a little surprised. When had relying on him become so natural? The comfort was simply too wonderful. Not to mention those eyes were a bonus. Saroja, as calm as ever, looked down at her with concern. Miss, your body hasn't fully recovered. Please don't overexert yourself. If you plan to sneak out again by climbing a tree, please take me with you. Natia teased him with a playful smile. So you'll help me every time. Just don't tell anyone I snuck out. Saroja paused, a rare crack appearing in his usual composure. Just a child's bluff, Natia thought. But she had to admit his clear gaze was disarming. He hesitated before answering. I will report to the Duke. No, only after you return. Natia giggled. Then it wouldn't be sneaking out. Saroja calmly countered. But I can keep it a secret from others, like Delfino. That caught her attention. Now this was interesting. Natia grinned, holding out her pinky finger. Deal. With utmost solemnity, Saroja leaned down and gently touched his forehead to her pinky. This is a knight's oath. We never break our promises. Natia beamed. Okay, but her moment of triumph was short-lived. It turned out Delfino had already reported her little outing. She sighed inwardly. She'd been lectured, of course. But honestly, compared to the lengthy sermons of her past life, this was adorable. While strolling with his attendant, Ein made a strange request. I want to make a doll, preferably a hedgehog. Bring me some sketches, and I'll choose. The attendant blinked, confused. A hedgehog? Isn't that a small land creature? What does he even look like? Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Natia woke with a start, shocked to realize she'd slept for 2 whole days. Azurta gently fed her, smiling. You slept so soundly, I couldn't bear to wake you. While you rested, the fog drifted out to sea. Now sunlight bathes the mansion. Be sure to enjoy the sun. Just then, Natia's eyes widened. Wait, what's that? Azurta beamed. The Duke left that for you while you were asleep. Really? Natia's eyes lit up. He said he was sorry for entering your room without permission last time. So he personally prepared this gift for you. He picked out each item himself. Natia stared at the tray Azurta presented. A small glass vial, delicate herbs, and tiny shells, each carefully chosen. Do you like it? Azurta asked softly. Natia grinned, unable to contain her joy. I love it. I really love it. I haven't been this happy in a long time. Her heart, already full from the Duke's apology, overflowed with gratitude for this thoughtful gift. This was more than enough. She thought gratefully. Seeing her lost in thought, Azurta asked curiously, Miss, what are you thinking about? Just a moment, Azurta. Natia carefully placed the items from the tray onto the table, a spark of inspiration in her eyes. Azurta smiled knowingly. Are you planning to make something? Just then, a servant entered to announce Delfino's arrival. Mississippi Azurta clapped her hands excitedly. Perfect timing. Delfino, Miss is about to make something amazing. Oh, then I must see, Delfino said expectantly. Natia worked quietly, using both magic and ingenuity. Soon, she'd crafted a delicate necklace of magically spun thread and tiny, mystical shells shimmering strangely in the light. Done. She smiled proudly. Both Azurta and Delfino applauded, clearly impressed. Delfino smiled warmly. It's beautiful. Now, time for your checkup. Natia spoke eagerly. She had so much to do. She planned to make shell necklaces for Azurta, Delfino, and even Saroja. But first, she had to see the Duke. Overhearing this, Saroja, standing just outside, made a mental note. Natia ran towards Ein, filled with anticipation. Natia held the special necklace she'd meticulously crafted for Ein. Azurta cautioned her about overexertion, but Natia, determined to express her goodwill, brushed it off. The Duke might be a bit rough around the edges, she thought, but he didn't seem like a bad person. However, as she neared her destination, she collided with someone. She tumbled to the ground, watching in dismay as the necklace shattered, a wave of unease washing over her. Was that the aura of magic? He looked like Duke Ein, but something fell off. The man looked down at her with a mocking smile. I heard I had a new niece, so I came to visit, but you don't seem pleased to see me. Natia eyed the stranger warily. How could someone with such a calm face appear so sly? Just then, Saroja stepped forward, shielding her. Sensing her discomfort, the man, Ein's brother, Cashion, sneered, insulting her with venomous words, claiming her gaze was filthy. Your gaze is the filthy one, Natia retorted silently. Cashion, attempting to mask his arrogance, introduced himself as Cashion Van Eld. At that moment, Ein appeared, his voice cold. You lost the right to use that name long ago. He ordered Saroja to remain vigilant. Cashion feigned injury. Life without the family name is so cruel, he scoffed. But Ein remained firm. Unless it's a special family event, you don't even have the right to step foot on the estate. Cashion turned to Natia with a sardonic smile. Isn't this the little brat? From lowly baron's daughter to the Duke's precious jewel. His words dripped with envy and contempt. Clearly, old wounds hadn't healed. Cashion arrogantly crushed the shell necklace Natia had made for Ein. He mocked the management of the estate and feigned concern for Natia's loneliness. I thought, as your uncle, I could keep her company. He sounded smug, but Natia wasn't fooled. Actually, I have plenty of friends, she replied calmly. Cashion scoffed. And where are they? She proudly gestured to Saroja, Azurta, and Delfino. Cashion cruelly disparaged them, claiming she was too young to understand who she should associate with. But Natia's retort was swift and sharp. Thank you for introducing yourself. She returned his insult, then turned and walked away with her head held high. Let's go, friends, she called. Cashion stood stunned, taken aback by her boldness and wit. A furious Ein grabbed Cashion by the collar, his voice a low growl. He reminded Cashion that exiles like him were only permitted on the estate for 24 hours during special events. Cashion, almost amused, recalled Natia's sharp retort. She's right, he admitted wryly. Introducing herself at 5 years old, he muttered, realizing he was the one truly unworthy. Meanwhile, back at her room, Natia fumed, pounding her pillow in frustration. The shell necklace she'd painstakingly made for Ein, destroyed before she could even give it to him. Azurta, Delfino, and Saroja watched her, their expressions a mixture of concern and amusement as she continued her adorable yet fierce pillow attack. Saroja calmly inquired if the pillow was sufficiently stuffed. Of course, it's made with the finest cotton, Azurta assured him. Even tantrums should be comfortable. Azurta, Delfino, and Saroja beamed with pride. Not only was she adorable, but her wit and bravery had completely won them over. She truly is our miss, they thought in unison. Azurta gently suggested they return to their duties and allow Natia to rest. Delfino playfully whined about wanting to stay longer. But Azurta approached Natia with a gentle smile. Are you still angry? She asked. The little girl didn't hesitate. I want to smash Cashion with a hammer. Azurta chuckled, promising to help her beat them up later. Natia stopped, surprised. Really? She asked, eyes wide. Azurta leaned inconspiratorially. I don't like them either, she whispered. But more importantly, I've had the kitchen prepare some delicious treats. Natia's anger vanished, replaced by anticipation. A food tray arrived shortly after, but her excitement deflated when she saw the familiar bowl of porridge. Porridge again, she sighed internally. However, Azurda quickly pointed to the side, and Natia noticed a small box. She opened it curiously, her face lighting up. Sweets. Azurda explained they were made with gentle, easily digestible ingredients and encouraged her to try one. Natia took a bite, a blissful smile spreading across her face. Delicious, she exclaimed. Azurda gently inquired how she felt. Natia, now in a cheerful mood, admitted she felt much better. Azurda breathed a sigh of relief. In places filled with malice, these things will harm you, she said cryptically. Natia giggled. This room is filled with kindness now. Thanks to Azurda. That night, feeling peaceful and cherished, Natia curled up in bed, thinking she'd finally get a good night's sleep. But just as she drifted off, a strange light slipped into her room. Why are the curtains open? Azurda would never forget something like that. Something felt wrong. Just then, Natia was startled to find Cashion standing in the darkness outside her window. He calmly ordered her to open it. Natia nervously averted her gaze, trying to ignore him, but Cashion wasn't about to give up. He threatened that if he fell to his death, rumors would spread that her father had killed his own brother. His twisted logic unsettled Natia, realizing he wouldn't relent easily. Reluctantly, she got out of bed and opened the window. She warned him that if he dared to come in, she would scream. Cashion smirked, assuring her that he didn't want to run into that beast either. He was just here to leave a little gift for his niece. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed a glowing pink object into the room, saying coldly, "Shiny things are fun, aren't they? You've received my gift. Then I'll take my leave." With that, he vanished into the night, leaving Natia both frightened and suspicious. Natia stared at the glowing pink object, quickly recognizing it as a magic stone. But this wasn't an ordinary magic stone. It was abnormally compressed and extremely unstable. In her past life, such stones were considered useless waste, as they would explode if touched by a magic user. Her heart raced. Why would Cashion give her something so dangerous? Not daring to take any chances, Natia scrambled back into bed and pulled the covers tightly around herself. "I'm definitely not touching that," she muttered, deciding to let Azurda dispose of it in the morning. After all, such things were only dangerous to magic users. However, Cashion's strange late-night visit kept her tossing and turning, unable to sleep. What was he up to? When dawn broke, Azurda entered the room and quickly noticed the magic stone. Her expression immediately turned serious. Natia said without hesitation, "Throw that away, Azurda. That man came to the window last night and forced me to open it. He said he would do something strange if I didn't." The trouble clearly wasn't over. Suddenly, Azurda hugged Natia tightly. Surprised, Natia blinked. Azurda quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, I hugged you so suddenly." But Natia smiled gently. "It's all right, it's warm." She added, "What that man said wasn't directed at me, but at the Duke." Azurda remained worried, softly advising her, "Even so, miss, the Duke is very powerful, but you must also protect yourself. Don't open the window for anyone again, no matter what they say, understand." Natia considered this seriously. She felt that the Duke was perfectly capable of dealing with Cashion if he truly became a threat, and she herself felt safe, knowing Saroja was always guarding outside her door, ready to rush in at any sign of trouble. She was just a little surprised to see Azurda so worried. She nodded, her tone becoming solemn. "I understand, Azurda. I'll be careful." As soon as Azurda left the room, Saroja entered, his expression filled with guilt. "This is my responsibility. I'm sorry, Miss Natia." Natia quickly replied, "No, it's my fault for not being clear." She was determined to rectify the situation. Saroja said solemnly, "From now on, I will also guard outside your window." Natia looked at him in surprise. "But this is the 4th floor." Saroja nodded seriously. "Yes, I can hang from the tree to protect you." Natia quickly waved her hands. No, there's really no need." Saroja remained kneeling, asking firmly, "Then, may I be permitted to provide close protection within your room?" Natia repeated, puzzled, "Close protection." At that moment, Azurda returned to the room and calmly explained, "Guarding inside a lady's room is called close protection." Natia hesitated, thinking that close protection would restrict her movements, especially since she couldn't use magic in front of Saroja. Sensing her unease, Saroja immediately said, "If you're uncomfortable, I can call another night." But Natia stopped him. "No, Mr. Saroja, please stay. She felt a sense of security. Saroja, Azurda, Delfino, and even the Duke had all made the once cold and gloomy Leighton feel warm, even sweet. Later, out of curiosity, Natia went to find the maid, Mir, to inquire about Cashion. The maid asked, "Miss, are you interested in Cashion?" Remembering that Mir had laughed earlier, Natia teased, "Do you like Cashion?" Mir immediately panicked. "I only laughed because I was looking at you, Mississippi. How could I possibly? Just a thought is disgusting." The maid also warned Natia to stay away from Cashion, saying he had been banished from the Eld Duchy long ago and was very dangerous. Then, she abruptly changed the subject, exclaiming how someone as angelic as Natia could have come to the Duke Eld's mansion. She added that the only children in the mansion for the past 10 years had been Azurda's younger siblings. At this point, she suddenly covered her mouth with a cloth, wanting to change the subject again. Natia asked her curiously why she did that, but the maid quickly made an excuse and left. Natia saw Azurda standing nearby, her expression somewhat downcast. Azurda has siblings, she thought, but felt it wasn't the right time to ask. She decided to dig deeper into Cashion's past. Just then, a knight approached her and bowed respectfully. "I am Hennes, a senior knight of the Eld Knights. It is an honor to meet you." Natia was startled by the knight's formal and direct self-introduction, and out of curiosity, she asked, "Sir Hennes, what kind of person is Cashion? Is he truly human?" Hennes made no attempt to hide his distaste for Cashion, explaining that strange things always seemed to happen around him. For example, there was always a lingering mist when he was present, or large patches of healthy seaweed would inexplicably wither. Natia thought to herself, this must be due to magic. Could he be a magician? She then asked if Cashion was athletic, as he had been standing outside her window the previous night. Hennes nodded seriously, saying he had heard about the incident, adding that Cashion had been nimble since childhood. Just then, An arrived with a stern expression, confirming he had received the report of last night's events. Saroja immediately knelt in respect, but Ein reproached him for his inadequate guarding. Before Ein could finish, Natia quickly defended Saroja, explaining that Cashion had come in through the window and it wasn't Saroja's fault. Ein looked at her and calmly said, "If you wish it, I won't punish him. But you seem to care a great deal about him." Natia hesitated for a moment, then nodded slightly. Seeing this, Ein gently patted her head, his tone unexpectedly gentle. He said he had always wanted to protect her from trouble, but she still had to experience these things. "You did well, thank you." The moment left Natia feeling awkward. She blinked, slightly surprised. Just then, a servant hurried in, reporting to Ein that troops had been dispatched to the Sea of Mist. Ein turned to Natia and said softly, "I'll see you again." But Natia nervously stopped him, taking out the small shell necklace she had remade. "I wanted to give this to you earlier, but Cashion stepped on it. I made another one with the remaining materials." As she handed it over, the tiny necklace adorably got stuck on Ein's forehead. Natia thought with some embarrassment, "It's so small, I barely managed to make it." But Ein just smiled and said, "Thank you for the precious gift." Natia was stunned. The Duke was blushing and flustered from smiling. She turned to Azurda and Saroja, excitedly saying, "Did you see that?" He accepted it. To her delight, both Azurda and Saroja were also wearing their own small shell necklaces like headbands. Azurda smiled and said, "This is the first time I've seen the Duke so happy. We're also glad you gave them to us." Saroja added gratefully, "Thank you very much." Azurda noticed that Natia had 2 more necklaces in her hand, and playfully asked, "There are 2, right? Who is the other one for?" Natia smiled and replied, "One is for Delfino, but I haven't decided who to give the last one to yet." Just then, a knock interrupted them. A knight entered with a message. "Sir Saroja, the Duke has ordered you to go to the Dias Manor immediately. The stone must be placed near the residence as soon as possible." Saroja was taken aback. Natia wondered to herself, why does that strange stone suddenly need to be placed near my house? After a moment of silence, Saroja respectfully said, "I have nothing more to say. As it's my first day as a close protector, may I leave, miss?" Natia understood the urgency and nodded. "Go. It must be important." Saroja bowed, promising, "I'll be back soon." Natia curiously asked Azurda why the mysterious stone needed to be placed near her house. Azurda explained that the stone could temporarily dispel the mist, and it was likely for the protection of someone around Natia's age. Natia was surprised, explaining that it wasn't a friend, but Saroja's younger brother who lived at the Dias Manor. Azurda was shocked, saying the child had been frail since birth. Clutching the small shell necklace in her hand, Natia silently wondered if the boy was too ill to even see her. Meanwhile, Duke Iter warned that the road to Dias Manor was dangerous, infested with monsters, and that soon a thick sea fog would blanket the entire area, making it nearly impossible to see or travel safely. Natia expressed her desire to visit Saroja's brother and give him a gift. Azurda hesitantly reminded her of the potential danger, but Natia was undeterred, assuring Duke Iter that she would go quickly and be careful. Unexpectedly, Iter agreed, but on two conditions she must have at least: a squad of soldiers to accompany her, and her physician must confirm that the journey wouldn't affect her health. Natia was startled by his ready agreement and pretended not to fully understand. She misheard squad as bandages. Iter patiently explained, and Azurda added that as long as Delfino agreed, she could travel with 10 knights. Natia finally understood, while Iter thought to himself that he should have used simpler words. Natia happily agreed to the conditions and asked Azurda to inform her friend that she would definitely visit. She politely excused herself from Iter, who simply replied calmly, "All right." As Natia left, Iter reflected on her behavior, how she'd tried to persuade him, assuming he would refuse, even though he'd never stopped her from doing what she wanted. He realized that perhaps she still hadn't fully opened up to him. He was also curious, despite having clarified their relationship on the first day, why she still addressed him formally as Duke. Perhaps, he mused, his own words had been too formal or confusing. He sighed, considering whether to speak more plainly next time. Next, Dr. Del Piero arrived to examine Natia. He expressed concern about her unstable heartbeat and frail constitution, especially given her eagerness for the upcoming trip. Natia playfully covered his mouth, insisting she was perfectly healthy. When that didn't work, she slyly produced a shell necklace, attempting to bribe him with it. She whispered that if he declared her fit to travel, she would grant him one wish. Del Piero accepted the necklace, but remained firm. He warned her not to expect him to change his opinion, but Natia continued to plead with enthusiasm. Finally, Del Piero agreed to write the certificate, but sternly reminded her not to feign good health. Natia, overjoyed, urged him to make it official. Suddenly, Natia felt a wave of discomfort and swayed slightly. Del Piero, worried, rushed to her side. She quickly masked her discomfort with a bright smile, insisting it was just excitement. But Del Piero knew her heartbeat was much weaker than that of other children her age. Her body was far too fragile, and though she always masked it with cheerfulness and persistence, even a simple carriage ride could exhaust her. As her physician, he knew he should forbid the trip, but as he looked at Iter, he understood that stopping her now might damage the delicate, burgeoning father-daughter bond between them. Iter sensed something amiss and became tense and conflicted. What should we do now? Everything was ready. Natia, brimming with excitement, boarded the luxurious carriage with Azurda. The carriage's interior was so opulent that she couldn't help but exclaim that it was like having her bedroom on wheels. Azurda smiled and told her the journey would take about 3 hours, during which she could admire the scenery or rest. Natia firmly declared her intention to stay awake and watch the scenery, adding that if anyone got tired, they could rest in the carriage. But as soon as she lay down to demonstrate a comfortable position, she fell asleep. A while later, she startled awake. "Did I fall asleep? You should have woken me. I want to see the scenery." Azurda smiled gently and said they didn't want to disturb her peaceful rest. "Don't worry, Mississippi. We're almost at Dias Manor. You'll have plenty of time to look around when we arrive." Upon reaching Saroja's home, Natia received a warm welcome. "Welcome, little Mississippi. Thank you for coming all this way," Saroja said gently. Natia stepped inside, discreetly noting the strong scent of medicine in the air. Del Piero politely excused himself, saying he had other patients to attend to. Saroja said he would change into his knight's uniform, but Natia immediately stopped him. "No need. Please be comfortable. This isn't a formal visit. I just wanted to bring a gift for a friend. Your brother is the same age as me, so you're my friend's brother, right?" Azurda smiled, adding that there was no need for formality within the manor. Saroja thanked Natia for her kindness, but gently explained that while his brother was slightly better, he wasn't yet well enough for gifts. Natia didn't mind and cheerfully agreed to visit again when her friend was feeling better. Saroja offered to prepare some refreshments, and Natia inquired about his brother's illness. Just then, she sensed a strange magical aura emanating from behind a nearby door. The power was too strong, too unusual to ignore. But if it were truly dangerous, Saroja would have surely noticed it already. She pondered silently. Saroja explained that his brother, Fry, had suffered from headaches and chest pains since birth, and the episodes had become more frequent recently. Suddenly, Dr. Del Piero rushed in, blurting out, "Has Fry been having regular episodes lately?" Seeing Natia present, he immediately regretted his slip. Azurda scolded him for his carelessness. Del Piero shrugged, saying it was a reflex, but conceded it was best not to divulge too many details. Saroja sighed, "I was just getting to that." The atmosphere grew tense. Frey's illness shrouded in further mystery. Natia suddenly interrupted, surprised not by the illness, but by something else entirely. She asked why everyone was speaking so casually to each other. Del Piero replied casually, "We're all around the same age." Natia said, shocked, "You're the same age as Del Piero." Del Piero feigned offense and asked, "Is there something wrong with that?" Azurda laughed and revealed, "Actually, Del Piero is the youngest of us. He was born in December." Natia panicked slightly, thinking, don't panic, looks aren't everything. Maybe someone likes Del Ferro's type. Well, that's all right then. Azurda teased Del Piero, "Don't be depressed, old man." Del Piero complained helplessly, "Don't drag me into old age with you." Just then, Natia felt that strange magical aura again. She quickly made an excuse, exclaiming, I need to use the restroom." With that, she dashed off. Azurda called after her in confusion, "You don't even know where the restroom is." Saroja listened calmly and said, judging by the sound of her footsteps. Meanwhile, Natia arrived at a door, her heart pounding. "This is it. That dark magic, it's definitely coming from here." Natia quietly entered Frey's room and found the child lying weakly in bed, unresponsive. Kneeling beside the bed, her worries were confirmed. She sensed dangerous magical circuits swirling within Fry, tangled and chaotic. This wasn't just an illness. It was awakening fever, a rare symptom that often appeared before a mage's powers awakened. The intense accumulation of magic, compounded by living in a fog-bound environment for so long, made the situation even more severe. If left untreated, Fry might not even live to see his 7th birthday. Natia knew there was still hope. If she could just straighten out these magical circuits, Frey's condition would greatly improve. With continued care, he might even fully recover. In her past life, this would have been child's play. But now, in this world where magic was strictly forbidden, healing Fry meant breaking the law. Torn between saving a life and protecting her own future, Natia found herself in a dilemma. She sat beside the sleeping Fry, her gaze falling upon a book titled Encyclopedia of Perennial Plants. Curious, she looked around and found many other books. Books on swamp lore, plant observation, and forest environments. She realized then that Fry, frail since childhood and confined to the manor, had always longed to explore the world outside. Natia asked gently, "Do you want to see the outside world?" Fry, half asleep, nodded slightly. Smiling, Natia placed her hand over his and used her own magic to heal him. "Let's keep this our secret," she whispered. "From now on, no matter what power you awaken, you must never let anyone know." The scene shifted. Natia woke up in her own room, Azurda standing beside her. Seeing her awake, Azurda sighed in relief. Natia mumbled groggily, "I think I had a dream. I remember going to give a friend a necklace, and then I don't remember anything else." Azurda gently corrected her. "That wasn't a dream. You fainted on your friend's bed, and we brought you back." Natia finally understood, sitting up with a mixture of embarrassment and confusion. She pondered silently. Had she really fainted just from straightening Frey's magical circuits a few times? Although Fry was slightly better, the road ahead was still long. Azurda then told her that the Duke had learned of the incident and that Dr. Del Piero was on his way to examine her. Natia's expression immediately turned to panic. The thought of facing Del Piero right after fainting from magical exhaustion filled her with dread. She knew she would be severely scolded. Meanwhile, Fry sat quietly, lost in thought. He understood the truth. When people said, "Let's wait and see," it meant there was no real solution. He recalled his excitement when he first heard about the Duke's daughter. Finally, someone his own age had arrived. He had even tried to practice walking, just to make a good impression. But in the end, he had failed. Feeling dejected, he thought of his brother, Saroja. If he was truly dying, he at least wanted to show a better version of himself. He silently apologized to his brother in his heart. He just wished he could simply spend time with a friend. Just then, a vivid memory surfaced. Natia's gentle words and her healing magic. She had asked him if he wanted to see the world and promised to keep his secret. Her last words echoed in his mind. No matter what power he awakened, he must keep it hidden. When Fry woke up, he felt much better, wondering if he had been dreaming. All the pain seemed to have vanished. Just then, his brother Saroja entered. Fry greeted him and asked if anyone had visited while he was asleep. Saroja confirmed that the young lady had indeed visited and said she would come see him again when he was feeling better. Fry curiously asked what she looked like. Saroja picked up the encyclopedia of plants and pointed to an illustration of a tree covered in blossoms. She's like this. Fry was amused and felt reassured. He stared quietly at the page, determined to see her himself next time. Meanwhile, Natia was being scolded by the doctor for not admitting her own discomfort. She was flustered to discover that not only was Dr. Del Piero there to examine her, but the Duke himself was also present, sitting rather incongruously on a small child's chair. As the examination began, Del Piero turned, allowing Azurda to assist with the stethoscope. Gently, Azurda reassured Natia that she, not Del Piero, would be holding the instrument this time, warning her that it might be a little cold. Natia, outwardly composed, thought to herself, even the most skilled physician shouldn't examine a noble lady without permission. Meanwhile, Del Piero, just like the Duke before him, was awkwardly perched on a small child's chair, making Natia silently hope it wouldn't break. Two grown men in such chairs was a comical sight. Del Piero noted that Natia appeared much more stable now than when she had fainted at the Dias Manor. Duke then directly asked her if she had overexerted herself. Caught off guard and determined to keep her magic use a secret, Natia nervously lied, claiming she was just a little tired. Upon hearing Natia's excuse, Duke turned to Del Piero, reminding him that there was a reason he'd allowed this visit, implying he should have known better. Del Piero silently accepted the Duke's disappointment. Ein warned that they would have a proper talk later. Seeing Del Piero's predicament, Natia quickly jumped to his defense. Like a child caught in mischief, she explained that she had gone to visit a friend, been tempted by the large, soft bed, and accidentally fallen asleep. She insisted Del Piero had done nothing wrong. Azurda attempted to take the blame, but Natia corrected her, saying she had told Azurda not to follow. The Duke listened, dryly remarking that if no one was at fault, then no one needed to be punished. However, that wouldn't do, so he decided on a milder punishment. Natia's outings would be restricted to the manor grounds until the fog cleared, with future permissions dependent on her health. Natia hesitantly agreed. Before leaving, Ein handed a card to Azurda, instructing her to give it to Natia after she had rested. He then quietly departed. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through Natia's chest. Azurda rushed to her side, concerned. Despite the pain, Natia realized she had been afraid of the Duke's stern expression, mistaking his actions for punishment. But upon reflection, she understood that the restriction was simply concern for her well-being. Though his face looked scary, it was an act of care. Curious, Natia asked Azurda what the Duke had left. Azurda handed her a letter. Natia opened it, surprised to read. Ein Vanit is the father of Natia Vanit. Though she knew she was adopted, the formal tone of the letter puzzled her. Why such a declaration? Then it struck her. Perhaps it was his clumsy way of telling her that she could call him father instead of Grace. Flustered and embarrassed, Natia quickly asked Azurda to put the letter away. Azurda asked if she wanted to keep it privately, and Natia nodded, saying she intended to reply, but wasn't sure what to write yet. Hugging her pillow and rolling around in bed, Natia shyly thought about how the Duke wanted her to call him father. It was mortifying. Del Piero watched, baffled by how she'd fallen asleep immediately after rolling around. Later, I mused that it was good to see Natia's condition improve. He curiously asked Del Piero if Natia had said anything after reading the letter. Del Piero silently wondered what Ein had written to her. Meanwhile, Natia woke up again, realizing she'd fallen asleep once more. Her young body still needed rest. As she prepared to start her day, she noticed the manor outside her window was completely enveloped in a thick fog. Azurda calmly explained that this was an annual occurrence. The fog from across the sea would blanket the entire area, but miraculously, it always avoided the manor because of the Eld bloodline. As the heavy fog shrouded the land. Natia wondered if the Eld bloodline naturally repelled magic. It certainly seemed suited to protecting the manor. She asked Azurda what happened to other families like the Diaz family. She learned their residences were completely engulfed by this magic-infused fog. Natia was shocked, realizing how powerful and invasive the fog was. Worried, she sought out Saroja to inquire about Fry. Saroja reassured her that Fry was much better and already walking around the manor. It was all thanks to her visit. Natia, grateful but humble, said she hadn't done much. However, she worried that if the fog persisted, the effects of her hard work healing him might be undone. She secretly wished she could bring Fry to the safety of the Eld Manor, away from the harmful fog. As Azurda picked Natia up, she mentioned something interesting. Saroja claimed he could see through the thick fog, and had spotted something enormous within it, though he couldn't see it clearly. Natia was immediately intrigued. A mysterious, giant figure hidden in the fog. That was just what an adventurous girl needed. Natia excitedly declared she wanted to see it too. Azurda cautiously reminded her that the sea of fog was dangerous and unpredictable, but Natia stubbornly insisted she would become stronger and train harder. She asked Azurda to put her down. When Azurda refused, she wriggled free and ran off like a child chasing a dream. Watching her run from the mansion, Ein felt a pang of emotion at her growth. He recalled how she used to hide from everyone back at the barony. Now, healthier and more unrestrained, she was finally showing signs of feeling safe and comfortable. He mused that perhaps, just like himself years ago, she was searching for a special place of her own. It was just unfortunate that the timing coincided with such thick fog. Noticing Natia was running outside in simple slippers, a thought crossed Ein's mind. Winter was approaching, and such footwear wouldn't protect her feet at all. He turned to Del Piero and suggested they get her a proper pair of outdoor shoes, since she enjoyed being outside so much. Del Piero looked puzzled. She already had over a dozen pairs of high-quality outdoor shoes. Ein, ever thoughtful, replied that there must be a reason she kept wearing slippers. Del Piero admitted he'd wondered about it too. The shoes were soft and fit well, yet she always avoided wearing them. The true reason was a subtle habit carried over from her past life. Some things comforted the soul in ways logic couldn't explain. Del Piero suggested commissioning a pair of shoes as comfortable as her beloved slippers, but Ein advised him to wait and see if she was truly content and if she needed anything else. Curious, Ein asked who made the slippers. Del Piero explained they were from the Camper Workshop, famous for their adorable animal designs and popular even in the capital. Upon hearing this, Ein declared without hesitation that if their craftsmanship was so renowned, they should bring the artisans to Eld, regardless of who they were, and have them settle there. I will grant them a lifetime supply of Riato fabric. Del Piero was astonished. What? Riato fabric. This was no ordinary reward. It was an incredibly precious and luxurious material. Just then, a cheerful man named Lihar stepped forward, introducing himself as the new treasurer and proudly presenting a bold business plan involving this rare and highly sought-after Riato fabric, a material spun from the stems of Riato flowers, which bloomed only in Eld's dense fog. Lihar proposed establishing regular trade routes to meet the immense demand for this luxurious fabric. Ein immediately shot down the idea. You want outsiders frequently entering and exiting Eld. Are you mad? Are you trying to feed them to the monsters? He scolded him sharply, blaming the ecology and personnel departments for their incompetence. His cold demeanor left no room for argument. If your reports are all like this, one per week is sufficient. Dejected and disappointed, Lihar paced away, thinking to himself, this is why I've been stuck in the annex. Walking down the hallway, Lihar overheard two servants arguing heatedly and curiously approached them to ask what was happening. The servants quickly explained that they were fighting over a recent gift from Mississippi. One claimed reporting was his duty, while the other had snatched the opportunity, wanting to see Miss, and had received the gift as a result. They began arguing again, each insisting they deserved the gift. Lihar attempted to mediate, suggesting they settle it with rock, paper, scissors. If Miss is grateful to all of you, then let's have a match. The servants agreed, and the winner was quickly decided. Lihar won. He snatched the gift with a triumphant laugh, gloating to himself as he walked away. Haha, I receive a gift from Miss too. If I hadn't been banished to the annex, maybe she would have given it to me personally. Del Piero finally found Lihar, saying he needed to speak with him about the Riato fabric. Lihar panicked, assuming he was in trouble again, but Del Piero reassured him with a smile, saying it wasn't bad news. Lihar excitedly rushed into the room, yelling, "Let me in." Those outside watched in bewilderment, whispering amongst themselves about what was happening. Meanwhile, Natia continued exploring the vast Eld estate, still marveling at its expanse. Some areas were restricted due to the magical fog, especially the mysterious sanctuary. She asked Azurda what it was, and Azurda explained that it was off-limits year-round. This only piqued Natia's curiosity further. She imagined it must hold ancient treasures or forbidden books, and began plotting to sneak inside. Unexpectedly, Azurda smiled and suggested, "Shall we go see it together sometime?" Natia was shocked. "Can I really go?" Azurda affirmed. "The head of the house has already said you're a member of the Eld family now. There's nothing here you can't enjoy." Natia was stunned, surprised that the Duke had given such detailed instructions regarding her. Natia excitedly imagined the secrets hidden within the mysterious sanctuary. What was inside? How big was it? She muttered to herself. Saroja calmly explained that the sanctuary housed the treasures of past dukes, along with rare items discovered in the Fog Sea. It wasn't dangerous, but incredibly fascinating. When Natia learned he had been there with the Duke, her curiosity exploded. "I want to go too. I need to prepare." Azurda asked, puzzled. What did she mean by prepare? Natia's mind raced. Ancient treasures and relics from the Fog Sea, a magical researcher's dream laboratory. But out loud, she said innocently, "Let's call a picnic." Both Azurda and Saroja were taken aback. A picnic in the sanctuary. Natia insisted energetically, "Yes, yes, yes. Let's all go. Do you have a basket we can use?" Azurda produced a basket. Natia, though finding it a bit small, accepted it excitedly. "Great, let's go now," she chirped, already in full adventure mode. Natia rummaged intently in the dirt, determined to find magical research materials herself. The guards, clearly worried, rushed over to ask if she needed help, but she refused, confidently stating that only someone like her, who understood magic, could identify valuable items. The guards insisted they were skilled diggers and pleaded with her to look at what they had found. Natia reluctantly turned and was stunned. The guards had unearthed several tools imbued with magic. She could hardly believe it. They had found magical items without even realizing it. After collecting a whole basket of magically charged materials, Natia confidently declared enough. Azurda offered to send the basket to the Ecological Research Institute for inspection to ensure everything was safe. Natia agreed, but secretly worried they might discover it was just enchanted dirt. She also wondered why the knights were cooperating with her plan so readily. Azurda explained that the knights were preparing to accompany her to the sanctuary. Natia asked in surprise, could they really enter such a restricted place? Azurda reminded her that as a member of the Eld family, Natia had full access, and naturally, her attendants could accompany her. Still unsure, Natia decided it was best to confirm directly with the Duke. Natia stood nervously before Duke Ine. His serious expression intimidated her. She hesitantly presented her plan, mentioning the picnic in the sanctuary, and in a moment of panic, even invited him to join. Realizing her mistake, she quickly tried to retract the invitation, wondering why she'd invited such an imposing figure to such a casual event. To her shock, Ine agreed without hesitation, telling her to go ahead and prepare. Natia was stunned. She thought she had interrupted some important strategic meeting, but the Duke was preparing for a picnic, not a war. Ine approached Natia with an unexpected proposal. He asked if she would like a grand banquet, not just a regular celebration, but a formal welcome into the Eld family, acknowledging her as his daughter. He even offered to establish a new birthday for her in the Lavoie's family. Her birth had never been acknowledged or celebrated. Natia, touched and thrilled, excitedly accepted the offer, finally having a special day of her own. She nervously asked if Cashion could attend. Ine calmly explained that Cashion couldn't visit at the moment. It was the thick fog season, and outsiders were strictly restricted. Even if he wanted to come, he would be stopped. Their conversation continued, and Natia gradually realized the Duke wasn't angry at all. He listened sincerely to her thoughts, seriously considering every word. When he asked if she had any other wishes, Natia blurted out that she hoped Fry could attend the banquet too. However, Ine carefully explained the situation, and Azurda added that during this season, No outsiders were allowed to enter the estate. Natia felt a pang of disappointment. She had wanted to see how Fry was doing and hoped he could be part of her special day. Noticing the somber mood, she suddenly thought, was she acting like a child sulking because her friends couldn't come to her first ever birthday party?